is intercepted. Shaquille Griffin makes an incredible play. Coleman looks out of the gun, runs the option, keeps it. He is into the end zone for the Knights touchdown.
Welcome to Knightline Post-Game Live. When the clock expires, we go live. Knight Nation's only post-game call-in show goes live now.
All right, hello Knight Nation. This is Andrew Fagley, and this is Knightline Post Game Live, and tonight we're answering your calls live from the 1148 studios. Special thanks to Travis Dever and the Dever team for supporting Knightline. Looking for a new home or getaway? Travis and his team have what you're looking for in the new Smyrna Beach area. Check out Travis and the Dever team today. You know what? Let's go to the phones. We got a phone call already here. Let's take it. Oh, there's a buzz. Hey, you're on Knightline Post-Game Live. What's going on?
Hey, not much. This is Joshua from Knoxville.
So what did you think? You're the first caller of the 2018 season.
Oh, I was looking forward to that. I had to put you guys in my contacts.
Awesome.
Knightline.
Thank you very much. So what did you think of the game tonight?
I mean, the offense was rolling. I think the biggest question mark everyone had was the defense, and I think it showed a little bit in the first half. Kyle Gibson coming in the second half, he helped shore it up a little bit, I would say. We obviously still got a +2 turnover margin, so that's still pretty good. And I know they've been harping on that. I think Brandon has been harping on that throughout spring and summer and the fall camp. But tackling could get better. I felt like their quarterback, Pendel, was a very good scrambler, and once he scrambled, that's when our DBs kind of broke down. But if he was like in a pocket, our DBs were knocking balls down and doing a pretty good job otherwise. So we'll just have to, and maybe that's our defensive ends were putting good pressure on the quarterback as well, but maybe a little pursuing a little bit.
Yeah,
really
I think that they need to work on tackling a bit, obviously. There was definitely some problems with tackling.
I feel like everyone noticed that one.
Yeah, I mean, otherwise, I love the turnover margin that we got. I think there was at least 3. There may have been more. I may have missed one. There were so many. So
yeah, there was 3, I think, actually. Yeah, I forgot about that last one.
I'm good with that. The rest of it, though, they obviously need to be doing some work. Somebody said on Twitter earlier while I was on there, Randy Shannon is not going to be happy, and I said he better not be happy because that was a little ridiculous. Sure. And give that quarterback, Pendel, he's a great quarterback. Don't get me wrong. I'm not taking anything away from him. He's a good running quarterback. He gave us trouble last year.
Running quarterback.
Yeah.
He had more rushes than completions and about just as much rushing yards as passing yards.
Right. So,
he was pretty fast.
Yeah. He had 157 yards on the ground. So, 266 yards through the air.
They were saying UCF players are fast, and they said the only player, and in all positions, UCF is fast, but the only UConn player who's equal to that is Pendel, the quarterback.
Right, absolutely.
And I think that showed a little bit.
What did you think about Daryl Mack and that 70-yard run that he had? Where did that come from?
I mean, I know that he was when he was recruited, he was a big athletic guy. I think everyone talked about that last year with him, and why. And the only reason Noah got in over him was just kind of the understanding and grasping the playbook. And so to come and see his athleticism, I mean, I guess I'm not too surprised, although that's the first time we've technically seen it. But yeah, that was a good play.
Yeah, and he completed 2.
It certainly didn't hurt that we had the score we did when he was running that play. So I mean, but yeah, he was out like 15 yards out, looking behind him like he started slowing down.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, 652 yards tonight. That's pretty good. I'll take it. 56-17.
Yeah. I'm just glad that college football's back and that we were able to. I don't know if we were technically. Well, no, we weren't because there was Colorado State, Hawaii. I think was the first game.
Yeah, we were one of them, though.
I was glad that we were out. Yeah, I'm glad we were out there putting things on notice. So I just think, even after this win, do we go up? because a lot of teams are going to be winning in front of us. So.
Well, there's going to be some that lose in front of us as well, though, because there's a couple matches. I don't have all of it in front of me now because I don't really pay attention.
I think LSU, Miami.
Yeah, well, one of those.
Virginia Tech and Florida State.
Florida State and Virginia Tech, both of those teams are ranked obviously above us, and one of them will lose, obviously. So. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that there will probably have a chance to move up. I mean, with 652 yards of offense, I don't see how we're not taken seriously and get to move up a little bit, even though it was against UConn.
Yeah, unless they count that as a quality loss for one of those teams, but you know how they do that. But
right.
People were talking. They kept talking about how fast Heupel's offense was, and it was fast.
It's like,
man, they were humming.
I was texting to Kyle Israel while we were playing. You know him because he's been on the show and all the time.
He's on the show regularly.
And he's former UCF quarterback and all that. I was texting him and Nick Patty. I had the phone going crazy during the game. And I kept telling those guys, I'm like, man, this offense, they said it was faster. I didn't believe it, you know. And then I just said it runs like butter. I mean, it's just smooth.
It was.
The difference between
it was running good.
Scott Frost's offense and this offense is that this offense just runs so smooth. I mean, there's not a lot of shifts and everything. You just go out and do it. It's extremely efficient. If this continues, if we can continue to do and put up numbers like this, we will destroy last year's numbers. If we can continue to do that. I don't expect 652 yards against, some of our other opponents, but 652 yards, that's pretty amazing. Actually.
They spread the ball out, too. I mean, I think a lot of players got to touch the ball, both running and receiving. Trey Nixon made his presence felt right away. Gabe Davis, I think he's the one. He's stepping it up a big. That one catch, even though it was technically he was out of bounds when he bobbled it, but the fact that he came down with that one, Gabe Davis is going to be. He's going to be a good player for us for his whole career.
He's an absolute monster. So hopefully we have him for his entire career, and he doesn't leave early or something because he's really going to be good.
Early, but we'll see.
Let's hope not.
He has probably one of my best quotes during the hype video. He's like, "We're in Florida. What do you think we're playing around?" The heat working, and he does. I mean, he shows that he's a worker.
Absolutely.
Anyways, I'll let you go, man. Get another caller. I'll look forward to listening to your show.
Thank you very much.
Have to catch the rest of it later.
All right, man. Thank you very much. Man. I appreciate it. Have a good one.
All right, bye.
All righty. Well, that was our first call of the 2018. I almost said 2008. All right. I'm just kind of getting into this whole thing here because we haven't done this in a while. It's been quite a while. I have missed this like you would not believe, actually. So if you're listening and you haven't been listening well, let's take this. All right. Hey, you're on Knightline.
Andrew Fagley, right?
Yes, it is.
All right. Well, we are John Irwin and Henry Brocker right here.
Yes, sir.
We are seniors at UCF.
All right.
Students.
Good. Thank you for calling.
Oh, no problem. And by the way, we love the Sons of UCF podcast. That was a great addition.
Very cool.
And Knightline has just been fantastic. I've loved your opinion on UCF sports. And it just continued to grow the brand. You know, after claiming the national title, UCF has revenued over $200 million in the last year, and I think that's just fantastic for the brand and for the growth of the university.
Absolutely. So
all right, well, we just want to say over 300 yards, 5 touchdowns. How can you deny Mackenzie Milton from the Heisman right now?
Absolutely. Thanks for your call, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you for listening. Tell all your friends.
Oh, yes, sir. Okay. We hope to see you next time. Go Knights, charge on.
All righty.
We'll look for next Sunday.
All righty. Go Knights.
Have a good night. Have a good night, boys. See ya.
Thank you. There may have been alcohol involved in that call. I'm not sure, but that's okay. What was I going to do? I was going to say something. Yeah, I don't know. It's been a while, I was going to say, since we've done this. But I'm happy to be back, and here we are. I'm trying to get my computer stuff to work, of course. But, hey, the phone calls are coming in. I'm loving it. Hey, you're on Knightline. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, this is Andrew from Oviedo.
Hey, Andrew from Oviedo, one of our regular callers. How you doing?
Doing good. It's good to be back.
What did you think about that?
Well, I have to say I love the ending. I love the score.
All right. What else?
I have to say I didn't think the offense could get any faster, but I was definitely mistaken.
Oh, it's definitely faster.
But I will have to say, though, I might have to have a word with Shannon on exactly how to run a defense at UCF because he might need some lessons here or there.
Yeah, something needs to be done about that. Hopefully something, starts working a little bit better as far as that goes because something is not right. And I don't know, maybe it's the first game jitters maybe a little bit. I don't know.
Well,
But
the biggest thing I noticed, not to take anything from Pendel because I know he was a mobile quarterback and he was going to be an issue, but I noticed that our guys were jumping and lurching at him a lot more. And as a mobile quarterback, that's very easy to avoid. These guys weren't scoring up and tackling. They were doing shoestring tackles and jumping around. So I didn't understand that philosophy because I did not see that much at all last year.
yeah, and it's a different defense. You can tell that it's much more free. We were talking about this on I think Kyle and Nick both were talking about this last week when we were doing our preview shows, and it's definitely a little bit more free instead of having an exact assignment every time. It's kind of like just get out there and play the game. Now, we gave up 486 yards. That's not an improvement over what we did last year. We were worried about
the. Of it was from Pendel.
Right. Well, yeah, 157 on the ground were from Pendel. So I'm a little bit worried about that, but I think a guy like Randy Shannon can get this fixed. Learning how to tackle and tackling better is not something that can't be taught, and it's not something that you can't harp on. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think what I was more frustrated with the tackling was UConn ran the same bootleg scheme where they had the one guy come out on the side times in 10 plays, and they did not adjust for it. I was screaming at my TV wondering how they're not adjusting to the same play over and over. They were doing it almost in every single third down. So I don't know if it's just not them adjusting or they're just stuck in a scheme. I couldn't figure out what it was, but it was no difference coming out of the half.
Yeah, I agree. One of the weird things that I work out in my head, though, is that nobody's going to score that amount of points on us. So if we can score like that and our defense can take the ball away 3 times in a game, I'm good with it.
Yeah, I'm glad with the result. I'm glad. I'm curious when we don't have those breaks. When you don't get 3 turnovers in a game, you start looking at other things. And tackling is definitely something they can work on this week.
Absolutely. I think that they will. Obviously, they know what they have. They hadn't been playing against anybody except our own people, for quite a while. So, I expected first game jitters on one side of the ball or the other, and obviously it was on the defensive side. So, I'm happy with it. I'll take it. I love it. I think that.
Yeah.
Obviously, besides that stuff, besides the defense, not having the greatest game, except for those 3 turnovers, like I keep talking about, that's impressive to me. So, I don't know. I'm torn. I'm definitely torn.
I think my final thought, at least with the takeaway, is that I feel a lot more comfortable with who's backing up Milton now.
Well, absolutely. We didn't know, and we hadn't seen at all what was going on there either. And I was very excited about that 70-yard run. I talked about that with the first caller. That was out of the blue. Nobody expected that, I don't think. Obviously, UConn.
No, I didn't. Number one, I didn't expect him to go that fast. I never considered him a runner, especially a guy of that frame and stature to run that fast.
Well, if you watch...
2, I don't remember a run that long, probably since Culpepper, maybe. I'm not familiar of a run that long before.
Well, Killens had one either last year or the year before that was like 90 yards.
I guess
so.
by a quarterback.
By a quarterback, though. McKenzie's had a couple, I think, that were fairly long, but maybe not. I don't know if one has been 70 yards, because that one was 70 yards. So that's
a long run.
That is a long run. So, yeah, I'm impressed as far as that goes. So, definitely good. We're getting there. We'll have to see what happens the next game, I guess. So.
Yeah, we'll see if Heupel will play him to the fourth quarter.
Well, and that's another thing. I don't know. McKenzie went down really weird and came up limping that time. And I don't want to say too much and speculate too much, but something is not right. He didn't run.
He fell a little funky on his ankle, and he hasn't really, and he's been walking favoring that right ankle.
And he
ever
didn't.
since.
He ran twice since that happened in the game. So I hope that whatever that is can get fixed by next Saturday, because it needs to be fixed. You know, I guess if you have to set a quarterback out, you don't want to set him out, obviously, but if it has to be, thank God we have South Carolina State, or whoever it is. I think it's South Carolina State, but thank God we have them instead of it being North Carolina or Pittsburgh or something coming up right away.
Yeah, hopefully a game to work the kinks, get more comfortable, and then real deal in 2 weeks.
Right. Absolutely. Thank you for your call, man. Greatly appreciate it. You've always.
All right, take care.
Thanks. All righty. Well, the concern obviously is for the defense, and I completely understand. I'm going to have to dig into it a little bit more to maybe you guys know exactly who was tackling good and not tackling good. I remember seeing number 12. I'm trying to look for some. Oh, here we go. You're on Knightline. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Jessica from Maryland.
Hey, Jessica. Haven't heard from you in a long time. How are you?
Yeah, I'm going to make this short. I thought our offense was awesome. I felt our defense in the first half played so-so, but I felt by the second half they started to get it together.
Yeah, it was a lot better during the second half. They definitely have some issues, though, and we need to work on that defense.
They need to tackle better.
Yep, absolutely tackling. What did you think of the speed of everything on the offense? Were you excited about that?
I was really happy with the offense, and you know what? We scored about 15 points better than we did back in – wait a minute. It was 24-49 back in 2017, so we did a little bit better. I felt like it was a great game.
Absolutely.
But I absolutely feel like the offense is on fire, but the defense needs to do better on tackling. If they can get that together, I feel like it's going to be a great year.
I think so, too. Absolutely. Thank you for calling, Jessica.
Yeah, well, I better get going. I have to get to work early tomorrow, but thank you. I will listen to your show for the rest of the night.
All right. Glad to hear your voice again. Thank you for calling. We appreciate it.
You're welcome.
All righty. Take it easy.
All right, bye.
I like Jessica. Jessica has called, I think, pretty much every show that we've done, live shows. For a while there, maybe she didn't, but she had some kind of work situation or whatever. But she is one of our longtime callers since we've been doing this, and I greatly appreciate that. Wow, here. So I'm trying to look for stats right now, but this phone is rolling off the hook, so let's get it. Hey, you're on Knightline. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
From Parkland.
How's it going? What do you think of the game? Oh, I think we may have lost him. Are you there?
Can you hear me?
Now I can. Go ahead.
I was just saying, first game of the year, they got to tackle a little better, but I know they haven't been hitting in practice like they used to, so take some time. But that, and I wanted to see the defense get their hands up, but not much you can complain about in a win like that. Wow.
Well, yeah, the 3 turnovers as far as the defense. I keep saying that, but that's what I'm taking away from this. Yes, they need to tackle better, obviously, but 3 turnovers. That is the staple of a Randy Shannon defense, is the turnovers.
I agree, but those 3 turnovers came in really nice spots. The score could have been a lot different. We still would have won the game, but the score could have been a lot different if those turnovers don't happen where they do. There's at least 2 touchdowns that are saved, or 2 scores that are saved by those turnovers. So that's big. Obviously, the last touchdown was garbage time that they scored, so you can that's kind of out in the wash. But McKenzie looked great, and man, Nixon. Ooh, how happy are we that he got that eligibility this year?
Absolutely, yeah. He's going to be a weapon for sure. I think Gabe Davis is obviously going to be a weapon. We've seen that. We
already knew about Davis.
Yeah. Right. He had a couple plays that, didn't go his direction because of being out of bounds or whatever. But
those catches that he made, whether he was inbounds or not, it gives you hope. I mean, oh, my goodness.
Exactly.
That first catch. That first touch, the second one was almost as impressive. It just was clearly not a touchdown. But that first one, he was getting with a passing interference call. I mean, that's the thing to remember. He made that catch while being interfered with.
Absolutely.
They look good. I'm glad Heupel got that win quick. It's a better win than last year, but you can't put too much stock into that. And I think, honestly, another positive is I think UConn looked better than I thought they were going to look, which makes me feel good in 2 ways. One, better about our win, and 2, better chance that they, will be better and more helpful for the conference, and hopefully, get more than 2 wins and help the schedule a little bit.
Oh yeah, no, I think they'll do a little bit better. I don't know how much better they're going to be, but obviously they're a little bit better. They're very young. They're in a rebuilding thing.
Their quarterback looked good.
Yeah, they're completely in a rebuilding thing, so that for them could be pretty difficult for a while, but
No, I agree. But the only other negative thing I'd say is that we let that quarterback run all over us, and that makes me think about that Navy game. A running quarterback, a guy that can move, that can be a little troublesome. But I mean, whatever. Take the win and be happy, right?
Yeah.
Like, what a game.
Yeah. Well, luckily that's later in the season, and the defense should have their legs under them. I think a lot of this tonight was just it being the first game. Like I said, somebody usually has to, one side of the ball or the other is not going to be perfect, and it was the defense tonight. Hopefully that doesn't continue.
Yeah, and the special teams needs to get that figured out too. On the kick coverage, man, they were running the ball. They were getting some yardage on the ball, but I think that's just hitting. Open field tackling is in special teams, and they don't do that in the spring, and they don't do that in fall ball.
Right, absolutely.
Nobody wants to get hurt. So,
absolutely.
But we got another cupcake next week, and they got stuff to look at on film. The defensive ends and linemen, when they were getting to the quarterback, they weren't putting their hands up. If they would have just put their hands up, and that's an easy fix, and Shannon will show them that in the film room, and those guys will get their hands up, and it'll change the game. So I think it was great. I'm excited.
I am too. I think it was a very quality win. That's exactly what we wanted. We didn't want to go out there and only score 15 points or whatever, We wanted to go out there and thrash them, and that's what we did. Now, hopefully, Aaron Robinson's all right, too. That's the other thing. That was not a good way to start this whole thing. I thought that there was going to be really bad juju there for a while.
I thought the same thing. I'm like, that's everything bouncing our way last year, and that's the year starting that way. But honestly, forget everything else. When you see a neck brace on a kid, you just got to get nervous. And I really hope, forget everything else. I hope he's just okay, because I haven't seen anything yet. I don't know. I couldn't hear before because I was on hold, but I don't know if you guys had an update on his injury. But
all that I know is that he was moving all of his appendages, so that's good. That's what ESPN was saying and all that. So, and I'm sure that they said that on the radio as well, that, they don't talk about injuries very much, so we won't hear much about that, except that he's probably going to be okay is what we'll hear.
Yeah, and the other good thing to look at from the season standpoint is that we covered the spread, which from a betting standpoint, I didn't bet on the game, but it means we're beating expectations. They expected us to win by 23, 24 points, and we won by more. And they, and that's something to look at too, because when you're looking at the polls and stuff like that, beating the spread means that we're exceeding expectations. And if we can just keep doing that, I think that's good. So, but McKenzie, man, what a Heisman start, right? 5 touchdowns, no interceptions.
Absolutely. It was beautiful. hopefully he is able to heal in the next week as well, because something's not right with that knee or the ankle. So we'll just hope.
You think so? I saw him hobble a little bit, but
well, he didn't run the second after he went down that time and got up limping. He didn't run anymore. Did you notice he ran twice and he didn't get anywhere?
Yeah, but he shouldn't have been running. I mean, I was texting with one of my friends watching the game, and I was just like, "Why? What are we doing? Why is he running?"
Yeah, well,
stop.
I mean, that's his game. So
I know, but when the game is, and I get that when we're playing somebody else, but when the game's in the bag like that, like I'll take a score less if we keep McKenzie healthy. I mean, although that said, and not that, I mean, losing McKenzie would be the end of the world. I was encouraged by Mac. I mean, as a big boy running down that field on that, what did he get, 80 yards on that run or something like that?
70,
I mean, he looked
70,
good.
70 yards. Yeah,
70.
very
70
impressive.
yards.
Very, very impressive.
And he was accurate, too. I mean, they didn't let him throw the ball much, but the few times that he did throw it, even on those little short plays, like a lot of times, like even remember Milton in like big games, he would be a little nervous in the beginning, they'd be a little shaky. His first college start, and he wasn't like sailing the ball over people's heads. I remember watching Milton's freshman year, and he missed a lot of passes where just overthrew the guy by a foot,
Yep.
And Mac didn't do that. He looked like he was, made to be there. So that's good, because I know we've all been worried about the depth at the position. So I'm glad he got a quarter of play.
Absolutely.
And the running backs look good. It was good. It'd be interesting to see when we start to play a little bit tougher competition, but I'll take what we got right now.
All righty, man.
14 straight, right?
Yeah.
Thanks for taking the call, guys. I'll let you go to the next one, but I appreciate it, and have a great night. Thanks for doing what you guys do.
All right, man. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Go Knights.
All right, bye-bye. Good night. Charge on.
All righty. I love it. I love that the phone is just ringing. I set the time a little bit shorter on my phone this year, so it only gives me 20 seconds to talk in the middle if there's people on the line. So, wow. Yeah. Daryl Mack, 2 of 2 for 10 yards, 5-yard average, obviously. Here's my next phone call. You're on Knightline. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Andrew, it's Carson calling in from Dallas.
Hey, man, all the way from Dallas, Carson Engel. Carson, what did you think?
How you doing, buddy?
Good, man. What did you think of this tonight? It was crazy.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much, as expected, or at least in our most positive, thoughts and feelings about how the offense would do tonight. That was certainly churning on all cylinders, and it was exactly what we predicted. And, I know we didn't give up a lot of points, but I don't know how the callers have felt tonight. I've only been able to catch a little bit of it as I've been on hold here. But I thought the defense was, a little bit concerning. That does bother me going forward. I thought we out-athleted UConn a little bit. I thought our talent certainly was something that shined through and on both sides of the ball. But I just worry about our defense going forward and how that's going to look against teams that are more talented than a UConn.
I hear you. What about the 3 turnovers, though? That's the point that I keep making.
Well, yeah, no, I think that shows that we have superior athletes. And that's the only question that I have is if you match up against an ACC opponent or someone who's perhaps a little bit more accomplished in the American, how does that defense look against that team? I think, it's one of these games early in the season, and you hear this all the time by pundits and stuff. You don't really know who you are until you kind of get a little bit deeper into that schedule, unless you've got one of those huge, kickoff games like some of the teams across the country have. And I don't think we quite know yet. Certainly that week 3 game, that test in Chapel Hill that we're all going to be at, that will tell us a whole lot. I think offensively, we're going to score. We're going to put up points. I don't think there was any question about that even leading up into this game, but you leave tonight feeling even better about what McKenzie Milton can do, what he can do in the Heupel offense. You feel even better about that, I think, than you did before tonight. But I wonder how the defense looks going forward. And, again, maybe it's first-game jitters. Maybe it's sloppy play and tackling fundamentals that get cleaned up here now going into week 2. But but that was at least the one thing that if you're going to critique a performance that was as dominant as that, that's probably where you go.
Absolutely. I totally agree. Obviously, tackling can be fixed. That's the point that I've kind of made a couple times. Tackling can be fixed, and I think that Randy Shannon won't stand for tackling like that. So,
yeah, and I wonder, you being a defensive guy, obviously, in your background and playing college football and all that, just kind of what do you think about us schematically, what you saw tonight, the switch over, how much did we really play multiple fronts? I don't know how much you were able to really hone in and watch all that, and I know you like to rewatch as well, but what did you think of us schematically? Because that's something that I wonder, again, is it something like on offense, I don't think we showed a whole lot because we didn't need to show a whole lot. We can do that in the weeks down the road. But did we do the same thing, you think, on defense, or how do you think it kind of panned out?
Well, it's different. It's much more of what I call a soft defense. It's more wide open. You can go and kind of do your thing. Let athletes be athletes is kind of how it works, I think. I think that's what he's trying to do anyway. That's what it looked like. But when athletes can't tackle, it doesn't look like it is. I didn't see a whole ton of penetration, either. That was the other thing.
Right.
There was some.
Well, I think, again, going to the switch from the 3-down lineman and to the 4-down lineman, that puts guys that are, different fits for the defense that was run here before. That puts guys in a kind of a precarious position, and I think that was, the biggest question mark on the team heading into the year, for me at least, was the pass rush. And I didn't really see any sort of strong showing in that regard. I know that kind of comment was like, who's the player that's most on the hot seat, or who's the guy that most needs to step up? And I've thought it's been Titus Davis. And you've got a guy kind of transitioning from, a guy who's played more of a linebacker position, and now he's putting his hand in the dirt as a defensive end, and it's completely different. So that's what I concern myself with. I know in the lead up in the preseason they talked a lot about playing multiple fronts, but I didn't see a lot of that tonight. I thought they sort of just stuck with again, the 4-down linemen, and maybe going forward, again, maybe they were playing conservatively. Maybe that's different going forward. But I think against some of these teams that have better athletes that spread you out, a Memphis, comes to mind right off the bat, and FAU certainly, fits into that criteria. I'd like to see maybe a little bit more of a modern defense than what we're running, but I don't know if we're going to get that or not under Randy Shannon.
Yeah. Well, obviously, I was impressed with Pat Jasinski. Obviously, he played, great back there. He was all over the place. I felt like sometimes he was having to do it all, and that's not good. Another guy that impressed me, actually, was another linebacker. Eric Mitchell impressed me, number 12.
Right.
And we hadn't seen him, really. So, to me, he was impressive.
I heard some people dog our secondary. And, again, if you're not watching kind of, 12-man, 22-man coaches tape, you can't quite tell exactly how good the secondary looks. But I thought I thought they were fine. For most of the game, it seemed like, UConn didn't really have that first pass option. Maybe some of those short passes into the flats on 3rd down were a little bit of a concern. But overall, I felt like our secondary was fine. I just think that the other thing that kind of creeps up into the commentary and the critique of the defense is how much we let the quarterback get out and run, and I'm sure that's been one of the primary things that you've addressed so far. And it's probably something that I can remember as becoming a young fan at UCF, and then even in the early years that I was a fan starting in 2007. That was something that the fan base always harped on, is that we always get burned by the running quarterback.
Yeah.
And I felt like it was a little bit of a throwback the clock tonight to those times, and that gave me a little pause as well.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, one thing that I noticed was the defensive line just was kind of getting pushed around by those guys as well. The holes would open up. It was wide open. They would spread everybody out as wide as they possibly could on their offensive line. and just make these huge holes for everybody to run through, you know? So there obviously needs to be some work done there. And I mean, I trust Randy Shannon to get it done. I'm still not sold on Neville Clark. I mean, I saw some times out there where he wasn't doing as much as he could, and he was in on a lot of those missed tackles too. So,
but did we really get burned though? I don't feel like there was that many times where the defense got burned deep.
No, I wouldn't say that. Yeah. I mean, obviously they were worried a lot about the running quarterback. So, I mean, you can get burned easily in those situations if you don't have anybody back there. But obviously we have athletes back there. So, I mean, they're definitely athletic. I think the caller before you was saying that, you know, so I don't know. I mean, it is obviously the glaring thing that was wrong tonight was the defense.
Well, you know, an athletic secondary can make up for things, as you well know. If they're out of position, if the scheme isn't quite right, they can sort of adjust and find themselves back in the proper positioning. I just wonder about those, you know, little dump-off plays, especially the third down plays. You've got to get a lot better in that if you're, you know, the UCF defense and if you're Randy Shannon, you know, leading the charge there. And, I mean, the good thing is I think you take out of this, you know the offense is going to put up a ton of points. So whoever you play, offensively, you're going to hang in the game with them. You know, I think what you wonder about after tonight is if you get in one of those shootouts, if you get in another, you know, Memphis game like in the conference title game or a USF game like at the end of the year, does the defense cost you this time? Do you come up a play short, or are you able to still prevail? And, you know, certainly time will tell, but I mean, it's also hard to argue with the nation's longest winning streak and you know, a huge blowout victory too.
Right.
So.
Well, I mean, we definitely can score the points. Now we just have to keep other teams from scoring points as well. I mean, that's the bottom line. They definitely have some work to do on the defense. I can't wait to see the participation report and all that stuff. I'm waiting for the stats to come through from UCF. They haven't come out yet, so.
Did you? The one thing I was going to ask in that regard is, you know, something that I saw on Twitter, and then I sort of was like, wow, you know what? That really is something that rings true. Did we see Marlon Williams on the field that much tonight?
Not very much. He was out there a couple times. He had a couple of good runs. I don't know if he caught a pass or not. I'd have to look back at the stats to see that.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Well, I think he's going to be used, you know, more in a gadget wrinkle for this team. So that almost makes sense to me that we didn't see him because, you know, again, I think we played it very vanilla tonight on offense because we just didn't need to really open the playbook up.
I know for a fact that we're saving something with him that we did not see. So he had one carry for 2 yards. So that was it.
Yeah.
You didn't see a ton from Otis Anderson either. Only 4 carries and one reception. So, I mean, I think we used what we needed to use and didn't use what we didn't need to use in a way. You know?
Right. I mean, I mean, honestly, it's going to be hard to get these guys the ball, and you know, you've got so many options. And I will say, to the credit of everyone feeding us info in the preseason, obviously we can't see practices, but the Trey Nixon guy. I mean, he's so legitimate. He's going to be an unbelievable player at UCF, and everybody in the reports and the reviews on him, you know, certainly they were fulfilled tonight because he was fantastic.
I don't know if you've looked at the stats yet. Have you looked at the stats yet at all?
I haven't, no.
296 yards rushing. Of course, Darryl Mack had 70 yards of that.
Of it or whatever.
But that was like, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people rushing the ball.
Well, I was worried about it early in the game. You know, I turned to someone and I'm like, we're not really running the ball. You know, we're just sort of out there chucking it around. But you know what? The numbers came through at the end.
Mackenzie Milton, 24 of 32 for 346 yards and 5 touchdowns.
Yeah, that puts him squarely. That puts him squarely well on the Heisman pulse in Week 1, huh?
Absolutely.
He's in the mix, right?
652 yards of total offense.
Unbelievable. I mean, you know,
although UConn had 486, so we gave up 486 yards.
Right, and I mean, I think, you know, it's funny because I know a lot of the fan base was critical of Eric Shenander, and I know that some of that was fueled by the fact that staff decided to depart. But what I always said about Shenander and that UCF defense for that 2 years is that you've got to understand, you know, what kind of situation they're in. They're in an offense that is moving extremely fast, that is putting them back on the field even quicker. Even if they score, they're not taking a lot of time on the clock, so there's not a lot of rest for those guys. And we saw that defense of Shenander's last year stand tough in games against SMU, in games against Navy. When they needed to be there, those guys showed up. So I thought they were a lot better than any national stats or the fan base really wanted to give them a credit for. They also got an offense that potentially moved even faster, so that the defense maybe isn't even going to look as good as they did last year. And certainly there are questions about all the things that we brought up. So time remains to be seen whether that defense answers the bell the same way that the Shenander defense did. And I just, you know, that was sort of what I thought about looking through tonight. It's a great win, dominant performance. We didn't really learn anything tonight, and there's still a lot of questions about whether that defense can be there when the UCF offense needs it to be.
Yep, I agree completely. I hope that I hope we don't need them like that, but
well, you know that we're going to need them at some point. It's the nature of the game. At some point in this season, whether it be, you know, against Pittsburgh or against FAU or in a conference game, you're going to need that defense to step up at some point, and hopefully at that time that they're going to be ready to do so.
Absolutely. All right, man. Thank you so much for calling. I wish you were here because you were kind of my unofficial host of this show, man. I'm going to miss you not being around.
I will see you in North Carolina, no doubt. I will be there. I will actually be over at Texas A&M next week, so I don't know if I'll be able to call you, but I will be watching, and I will definitely see you in Chapel Hill.
All right, man. We'll see you then. Thank you very much for calling. Really appreciate it.
Yep, charge on.
All right, man. Charge on. Take it easy. All right, Carson Engel, awesome every time. Like I said, I wish that he was here to help me out because, wow, what a lot of information that guy has. So it's all good. Man, I need to play a commercial here is what I really need to do because I've been really lax about that. I'll take this call right after that, but I have to do this real quick. Let me mute that. So I hate that about this thing, but that is the way that it is. So let's listen to this real quick.
Hey, this is Travis Dever, Kai's Real Estate, the Dever team, New Smyrna Beach. Your source for real estate and everything else New Smyrna Beach. Proud sponsor of Knightline and Knightline Postgame Live. Call me anytime at 386-690-1636. That's 386-690-1636. Let me show you my hometown, New Smyrna Beach, UCF's favorite beach. Go Knights and charge on.
You know, ever since I started Knightline, people have been asking me for advice. Usually, it's what team to bet on this week. The truth is, I don't know who's going to win, but if you think that you know, you gotta check out MyBookie. Remember, who you're betting on is just as important as who you're betting with. That's why I always tell people to bet with MyBookie. Trust me, guys, they're the best bet this season. They've been in business for years, they have great reviews online, and their mobile site is easy to use. Lay down some cash and win big today. They have in-game live betting, the most rewarding player perks in the business, and for you fantasy guys out there, you can even bet over-under on how many fantasy points a player is going to score each game. Join now and MyBookie will match your deposit dollar for dollar. Use promo code KNIGHT to activate the offer. You play, you win, you get paid. Visit MyBookie online today. All right, well, I hung up on somebody on the break, but you're next there. Where are you calling from? What's your name?
It's Night Bengal from Orlando.
All right, man. Night Bengal, what did you think, my friend?
What did I think? I thought I was never so happy to be waiting on hold after a win, and thank God for college football season being back.
Absolutely. Thank you for calling. How long did you wait on hold?
It was only 17 minutes.
Oh, okay. Well, that means there's people in line. So I hung up on at least one person, which I really didn't want to. I wanted them to hang on, but they didn't. So whatever. They'll call back, I think.
Whatever. It's my turn now. I'm taking the time.
They'll call back.
So as far as the game is concerned, hyper speed, I mean, seriously, that was some fast football. Something that we didn't or weren't sure was possible, but Heupel's speed is definitely everything that it was cracked up to be. The receiving core, phenomenal as we expected them to be. Then again, you know, they had I know this wasn't SC State, but they were going against a defense that was starting 6 freshmen as defensive backs. So I think that definitely worked in our favor. But the guys handled it well. They played really well. They created space for the running game at times, which was good as well, so it wasn't all about the receivers. McKenzie was flicking the ball around like he always was. He really seemed in sync with the receivers. And they really picked up where they left off last year. I mean, they looked phenomenal. I'm very excited about what I saw on the offense.
Absolutely.
On the defensive sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I just said absolutely. I agree.
Yeah. On the defensive side of the ball, I know people are freaking out a little bit. Yes, there were 400 yards of offense put up against us. But I think that's more so a byproduct of the switch to the defense on a couple different levels. Our ends were a little hesitant. They weren't sure when they were to stay home or when they were supposed to be attacking. There were times where they were thinking about things and they weren't really holding the edge really well, which against a clearly mobile quarterback created some challenges for us. The other part of it was, with the new scheme, the linebackers, they don't have they have gap assignments, but the assignments aren't as particular in this scheme. They have a little more room to roam. So I think that may be impacted, especially with the edges not being kept like they were supposed to be. And then lastly, on the defensive backs, I mean, you could really see the difference when Gibby was back there. That being said, 4 turnovers are 4 turnovers. And by and large, they only scored 17 points with 7 of those coming in the fourth quarter with a whole lot of time of possession. So, yes, did they put up some yards? But, yes, our guys got the turnovers we needed. And overall, I think they'll clean it up. The tackling obviously was suspect, but again, some of that is spacing and scheme. They weren't lining up exactly or staying within the lanes exactly where they needed to be. You get after the quarterback, we're playing a lot of single high, and we're basically not dropping as many people in coverage. And when you're doing that, you're leaving your DBs with less margin of error. So it's imperative that we get that defensive rush going and getting to the QB and either altering the throw or getting into the ground, which we weren't really having a whole lot of luck with Pindell. And when he started getting out of the pocket a little bit, that throws your scheme out a little bit. And the last thing I would say that kind of impacts too is with the 3-4. I feel like we were able to disguise our linebacker rushes a little more. When you overloaded, it wasn't as obvious. I mean, obviously you had Shaquem dancing around back there. Sometimes he dropped back in coverage. Sometimes he was rushing the quarterback. But I feel like schematically we weren't able to disguise the rushes as much as we ordinarily would with the 3-4. Also saw a 3-5-5 out there tonight, which is new for us. I don't remember seeing that last year. So I think what you're seeing is just a combination of people getting settled into a new system, understanding their new roles. And I think Randy Shannon will help get them into shape and get them in a position. And when they stop thinking as much, I think all the other pieces will kind of come together. But overall, I was pretty happy with the performance, especially for the first time out in a conference game.
Well, that was quite the analysis right there, my friend.
Well, every once in a while, I got to sound like I know what I'm talking about, right?
That was
the
good.
Rest of the time, I'm just babbling.
Well, you called all kinds of stuff that I wasn't really able to answer, so that's awesome. I greatly appreciate it. You had all the schemes that we were running in defense and everything. You had it all right there, man. I appreciate it.
Well, it's a lot of it is just watching what you're doing and understanding what the difference between a 4-3 and a 3-4 is. I mean, and you know this from a defensive standpoint. 4-3 is all about making sure you're keeping the edges and making sure you're getting after the quarterback and altering the play when he's in the pocket, trying to keep him in the pocket, trying to close the pocket, either alter the throw or not. When you don't do that, you're giving up, by having more down linemen, you're giving up flexibility in the secondary and with the linebackers. And when you're doing that, that means, you're going to end up with some situations if people are uncomfortable or not or new to the scheme. You're going to end up with mistakes. There's less margin of error. And I really hope that Knight Nation, as we kind of absorb what we saw, we understand that this is the first game of the year. The first half, we went more heavy on the blitz. The second half, we kind of settled back. But this is new for Pat. This is new for the defensive backs. This is new for the linemen. And there's less assignment football, which means that there's more reliance on the judgment, instantaneous judgment and reactions of these guys on the field. When that happens, you're going to have mistakes, and especially when it's the first game out. So I hope nobody's really getting too crazy. I do think that, if when it comes to teams like Navy, and I'm glad they're later in the season, I think those will impact us more, and that's really where we need to be a little more observant of what's going on and maybe a little bit more worried. But I feel like Randy, I trust Randy will have these guys playing assignment football. When I went to the luncheon, one of the things that everybody was saying at the table was Randy Shannon is very, very particular about running plays specifically for spacing, making sure you're not even 6 inches or a foot away from where you're supposed to be, because that's how his scheme works. And once these guys get this down and they're starting to act with reaction, you could see they were playing with a little bit of hesitation. Once they get that down and they're just reacting to the football and the plays, especially with the difference in speed, I think they'll be all right. I think we overcame a little bit of that with our team speed last year in Chenander's defense, and I think we covered up some of our inadequacies in the secondary with that scheme. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But again, I'm talking a lot about the defense. The offense was just what we were expecting. They're a darn good offensive scheme. They were very fast, and I was honestly pleasantly surprised. I knew we would be able to spread the ball, which opened up, lanes for the running game. And I think when we get into teams that like to play time of possession, like the Temples of the world and the Navies of the world, where we don't have as many possessions, we're not able to throw it over the top like that as quickly, that's where it'll be interesting to see how that running game comes into play. But the offensive line played well. I think that once we get the scheme down, everything else will kind of come into focus for them.
All right, man, I have nothing else to talk about this entire show because you just said it all.
Well, I'm sorry I took it. Sorry I did that, but I was
That's
really
good. What are you doing for North Carolina? You can come out. You're going to North Carolina, right? Oh, yeah, you're riding with me, I think, right?
Yes, you're stuck with me for 8 hours, unfortunately.
All right, well, everybody will know after North Carolina, it'll be me and Night Bengal here. Me and Roger, we will be doing this show, so I'm sure Roger will talk most of the time.
Unfortunately, right?
It's all good, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I know that there are other people holding, so I'm going to get to them, but thanks, dude. I appreciate it.
All right, man. Have a good night. Thank you, guys.
UCF football is back. That's what really matters, right?
100%.
All right. Take it easy. Thank you, man. That was good.
All right, man. Talk to you later.
All right. Wow. Yeah, like, seriously. Like, I didn't have to say anything. I love it when callers are like that. I love it. Y'all are going to have to step up your game out there. Some of y'all are really awesome. That guy, Wow. I like him. Very, very knowledgeable there with football, Mr. Roger. Here we go. Hey, you're on Knightline. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, it's Scott calling from Sanford. How you doing, Andrew?
Good. How are you, Scott?
Hey, good. Hey, good problem to have. I've been on hold for 28 minutes.
I'm sorry. Yeah, like
it's okay. It's okay.
I think
so. No, I got to hear a lot of the last 3-4 callers, and I thought everybody's brought up good points. I really thought it was important that they came out and dropped close to 60 tonight. Just for the main reason is it'll keep the conversation going about us, particularly in the Paul Feinbaum worlds and things of that nature. Because if we came out and laid an egg tonight and didn't put that kind of number up on Connecticut, then all of a sudden there'd be all kinds of heat that we'd be taking, based on, just the fervor of the summer with the whole national championship thing. But, I mean, I agree with the caller from a couple of minutes ago where we've really got to take this with a grain of salt. This is a very bad Connecticut team. They're probably not going to be favored in more than 1 or 2 of their games this year. They may win 3 games. The game they probably have the biggest chance to win is against Rhode Island, which is essentially an FCS team. So I want to say we're fast. And one of the things that was really interesting, I was in class tonight because I'm getting my master's work out at done at UCF. And so I was in class when the game started, and I couldn't watch the game, so I had it on Gamecast while I was listening to my lecture tonight. And you know how the Gamecasts work on ESPN where there's that little animated football that moves as they move up and down the field?
They wouldn't move fast enough, I'm sure.
Well, it wouldn't move fast. The animation couldn't keep up with the quickness of the plays. So what would happen is for like 40 seconds, nothing would happen. And then all of a sudden I would have 6 consecutive plays in a row, and it's Mackenzie does this, Mackenzie does that. So it was pretty funny just to see. And then before you knew it, you blinked, it was 14-0. And, but I think the biggest thing that's going to happen here in the next month, we'll really get a good feel for where this team is at because of the way our schedule, North Carolina's schedule, and Pitt's schedule kind of all fall into place. We're going to play North Carolina on the 15th. North Carolina hosts Pitt on the 22nd, and then we take Pitt on the 29th. So, based on how we perform against North Carolina and then Pitt, I think we'll get a real good feeling for where we're at. And I thought a couple callers ago they were talking about just some of those basic things that happened on the field tonight defensively for us. And I agree. It's just I think a lot of the rust was getting kicked out, getting up to game speed and things of that nature. But it's hard for me to really gauge how good this was and how fast we are because I have a feeling this is going to be a really bad UConn team. I don't think they're going to be the class of our conference in any way, shape, or form. But I think the way that schedule falls into place with Pitt and us, Pitt, and North Carolina sort of all playing one another, in the next month, it'll give us a really good idea of where we're at. On top of that, Pitt and North Carolina might be the 2 best defensive teams we face the entire year. I mean, I don't think we have a really great defense on our schedule. North Carolina had a lot of injuries on their defense last year. And I know they're expecting a lot better year defensively this year because a lot of those pieces are coming back. And then, they have a lot of skilled players on the offensive side of the ball. They usually have some great receivers. I know Pitt always has great running back depth. Their quarterbacks are usually very high IQ football players, and they always have some talent at the wide receiver position. So that's all going to be stuff that we're going to have to navigate around. And I don't think we're going to face a lot of quarterbacks like we faced tonight until we get more into conference play as it is. But it was a really good start. I really thought it was important we got at least 60 or close to 60, and I think we got mission accomplished with that tonight.
Yeah, I was hoping for a little bit more, honestly. I'm kind of like that. I wanted 70 or whatever, but with the way that it worked out, I'm good with it. It could have been a lot better. It could have been a lot worse, I still say, and I haven't heard much about this, obviously, and you're probably not going to. I think Mackenzie Milton obviously got hurt at one point. He did not run.
The last shot ESPN showed after he came off the field after his last touchdown drive before he took a rest for the night, I think you saw what you were mentioning. You could see him limp up. I think he went up to shake Heupel's hand, and you could see him sort of gingerly going up to the sideline. So that, I think that's something to watch. Without knowing what's going on, there's a very good chance he's only going to play 3 quarters against South Carolina State if that all goes well. But I thought he performed really well tonight. I think he had to, just because of a lot of the Heisman talk that's been surrounding him, and all of this is good for the national conversation, because we will be talked about tomorrow because we dropped almost 60 tonight. And I think that's, when you're a burgeoning program like ours, you got to do that against really bad teams.
Absolutely.
And I think this will play out at the end of the year, that UConn's schedule is terrible, that they're not going to play anybody that's really, this is going to be a mark on our schedule. It's not going to be a real beneficial game for our schedule. That's why I think it's important they put a lot of points up tonight.
Absolutely. Scott, thank you very much for your call,
all right,
man.
guys.
Greatly
Glad to
appreciate
hear you
it.
on the air again.
All righty.
All right.
We'll talk to you later. Thank you.
All right, bye.
Take it easy. Oh, hello. How do I stop that? That's funny. Anyway, geez. I haven't done this for a while. I'm telling you guys. I'm trying to figure it all out again. Wow. All right. Well, I have no idea how long we've been doing this either. I forgot to start my stopwatch, but I know we have calls. So this is one I've been wanting to get. This is one that I've been wanting to get to, this call right here. So what's your name and where are you calling from?
Andrew, how are you? It's Adam from the Sons of UCF.
All right. Hey, Adam from the Sons of UCF. Our new show on the Knightline Sports Network, by the way. Everybody has loved your show, man, so far. Everybody has said wonderful things. I've not gotten one bad comment, and your numbers are really good. I haven't told you yet, but I'll tell you in a text message later. They're very, very good, though. So, very good job, man. Very proud of you.
Well, I appreciate it, Andrew. I was going to call with some hard-hitting analysis, and then Night Bengal called and pretty much took all of it.
He did. He took all of it.
Yeah, I mean, but, here's the thing I would say, right? So I think that the biggest takeaway for me, I had 3 for you. So, one, I was just super impressed with McKenzie's grasp of the offense from the start of the game. It seemed like from the first snap, he was in total command, total control. I know there's a lot of conversation about new offense and what's going to happen, and he looked like he'd been running that offense for his entire life. I think just the way he commanded the huddle, the way that he got the team to the line, got the play, got to the next play, you wouldn't have known that was the first time he ran that offense. So I was super impressed, really, with just the way that KZ ran that offense. And it clearly shows the relationship him and Heupel have had, to be able to have that kind of trust with each other, to put him out there and let him do his thing. I don't know about you, but I was really impressed with the way that he commanded that offense from the start of the game.
Absolutely, 100%. I mean, it's nothing different really for him. I mean, honestly, like I've been saying all night, I think that he got hurt on that play. Obviously, you didn't see him run anymore after the first half. I think something's going on. I hope that he can get better in a week with that because he needs to use those feet. Yes, we said that there would be a lot more pocket passing, but I didn't expect that much, and he didn't expect that much, I guarantee it. None of them expected that much. So I guarantee you there's something going on there, and I hope that he'll be better. But, I mean, still, with 356 yards through the air, 346, of his, because 10 of them were Darryl Mack. What did you think about Darryl Mack? I mean, just in the little time that we saw him, did you ever expect a 70-yard run from him?
No, I didn't, right? He's a big guy. You don't expect that. And I heard some callers earlier talking about that. Here's my thing, though. I mean, it was the fourth quarter and second-string defense. I certainly am excited to see him out there and realize he actually has an arm and can throw a football because we haven't seen that ever. But I still don't know how that would play in the first quarter against the game, too. So I'm excited to see that play. That was kind of garbage time. It seemed like at that point, UConn had given up. Excited to see that we have somebody out there, though, but I don't know that I'm, ready to say, hey, we've got our future at the quarterback spot, too. I did think real quick, though, was interesting. You talk about the offense. You could see a slight adjustment. You could see the receivers, particularly in the running backs, whenever the play ended, they were quickly getting the ball back to the referee to get the ball set and snapped again. I thought that was a really interesting adjustment. It also just showed Heupel's attention to detail, how quickly you could tell they must have worked on that, right? I know he talks about snap to whistle and whistle to snap, and we'd all kind of made fun of those buzzwords But you could tell quickly the receivers had the ball, the running backs got the ball, and quickly turned, found the ref, got the ball to the ref quickly. I thought that was really interesting, a bit of a nuance that he added in there. And it just shows the level of detail that him and the staff have put into the offensive side of the ball. I think from an offensive standpoint, we probably got exactly what we could have asked for tonight. Yeah, it would have been nice to drop another touchdown on them. But I think, from an offensive standpoint, you walk away from this one saying, hey, I think we accomplished our goals. If you'd written out a list of goals before the game, I think we would have checked all the boxes. With the exception of a few. You mentioned Marlon Williams. He only had 2 catches tonight, so I thought that was kind of interesting. Excited to see Greg McCrae get in there. I know I talked about him on the show this week. I think he's got a bright future, man. I really like that kid. He seems like he's just always making heady plays, even a tackle on special teams. So I really like what he brings to the table. But offensively, if you're a fan, I don't think you can walk away from that with a whole lot that you can really be upset about. Now, defensively, Andrew, that my friend's another story. I heard a lot of people talking about it earlier. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to chalk it up to first game jitters, working out the kinks a little bit, learning each other, learning the schemes. I think that's all fine. The one big thing that I think was most telling to me is it seemed like, and I want your perspective on this from your background, it seemed like we got no push up front. It seems like we got no push on the line. It seems like our defensive line was not moving their offensive line at all. And again, you can say first game jitters and learning the system, but if we don't have the folks up front who can just push around an O-line and get in the backfield, that could be problematic down the road.
No, I absolutely agree, and I don't know what went wrong tonight. A lot of things went wrong on defense, and I don't know if it's part of the scheme that went wrong or what, but you're right. There wasn't a lot of push, and there should have been a lot more push. I wouldn't say that that's all of it. That's not all that needs to happen, obviously, but I mean, we couldn't stop the running quarterback, which that guy's a good quarterback. I'll give that to him. But, not anywhere close to what it needs to be. And I don't know if currently we have the players to really have a great defensive line except for a couple guys. I mean, a couple of these guys, especially the ends, were linebackers last year. So, this might take a little bit of time, but I think when it comes down to it, when we need that defense, they'll be there.
Yeah, I just think it's just something to think about, too. One other quick update. I know I heard a call asked earlier. So after the game, Heupel had said that Aaron Robinson will, quote-unquote, be okay. He's going to stay in a hospital, looks like in Hartford overnight tonight, but Heupel did say he'll be okay. So I know there's some folks asking for updates on that. At least that's the latest from Heupel. He didn't expand too much, as he typically doesn't. But he did say that he would be okay. So just a quick update on that.
Good, thank you. Yeah.
Scary.
Unfortunately, I haven't gotten anything in the email or anything from them yet, so which is kind of not normal. Normally, I have it a little bit quicker than this, and I can't listen to any of those post-game things because I'm doing this. So that's kind of the bummer about doing this by myself, is that I can't hear that stuff. So that's good. In fact, I was just re-watching that while you were talking on the ESPN thing here. I was trying to see what happened to him. It looks like he hit his head pretty good. So that's not good. That was not the way to start it, obviously. I was really worried that, can put a bad it can put some bad juju on everything right at the beginning like that, So I'm glad that our players were able to, go ahead and play the game and play it well. So you always kind of worry about what the psyche is going to do at that point. That'll freak you out as a football player, especially if you're one of those guys that worries about getting hurt, that'll mess with your head. And maybe that happened to some of those defensive guys, but I don't think that would hurt their tackling as bad as it did. So they can't use that excuse.
Yeah, that's right. I think that's the other thing, man, is really just, I don't know that we knew what we were going to get out of the gate. And I think just overall, that team just came out ready to play.
Every team is going to come out and ready. Every team this year is going to come out ready to play against us.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm talking about our team. I don't know, what we thought we got. I said this on Twitter this morning, too. And part of me just wonders if it's true. I think it's going to be one of those, I'm not trying to be Mr. Hot Take here, but, I just wonder if Heupel's the thing that we needed this year. He's super motivated. I read that article this morning from Yahoo about how, he was pretty ticked off after he got let go at Oklahoma and kind of had to reinvent himself. And you get if you read between the lines, you kind of read that he's coaching with a chip on his shoulder. And for a team that had so much success last year, I just wonder, as he comes in and he's going to bring that chip on his shoulder, that's just the thing that we need to be able to take us and catapult us to better heights this season. Not to say that we couldn't get someplace with Frost, but Heupel has something to prove. And, I just wonder if that's going to be a good motivator this year for our team and the way he drives our team, because, he clearly wants to coach to prove to people and prove to doubters that he can do this. And so I'm excited. Part of me just wonders if that's the thing that we need this year for this team right now. I was excited to see them come out with that, and clearly, they were focused, they were ready. They had what they wanted to get done, accomplished. And I think the last thing I would say, Andrew, I'll get off the line for you guys. It's a conference game too. We're 1-0 in the conference. I think that's something that we shouldn't underscore. We're already 1-0 in the conference. It's a big win to start off the season. And I think hopefully we'll continue. But I think Sacs or SC State will we'll see what we get there, and hopefully we just get sharper on both sides of the ball. But overall, I don't think you could be more pleased if you were a Knight fan on tonight's game.
Absolutely, Adam. Thank you for calling. And make sure, everybody, that you listen to Adam's show, The Sons of UCF. It is on the Knightline Sports Network, which is our feed, and you will get it where you get our show. So you will see it. It'll be coming up on Wednesday this week instead of Tuesday like we did it this last week. And, Adam, you're doing a great job. Welcome to Knightline Sports Network. Really appreciate you doing it, and we're looking forward to having you for a long time do that and seeing you grow and everything else, man. We really appreciate it.
All right, thank you. Charge on.
All right, you too, man. Take it easy. All right. I keep doing that. I keep hitting that button. All right, I don't know how many people are holding, but I honestly don't know how long that I've been doing this tonight. Normally we go for an hour. So I'm going to see if anybody else is on the line here. It'll tell me very quickly. And if not, we're probably going to call this, done pretty quickly. I want to play one more commercial for us real quick while we're still here. And then we'll come back and see if anybody is on the line. And if not, I'll say a couple more things and we'll call it an evening. Alrighty? How about this? This segment is brought to you by Cleat Chaser, the app where athletes of all ages get exposed, discovered, and recruited. Download for free on the Apple Store or Google Play and get discovered today. All right, well, I think that's going to be the last segment that was sponsored by that. I meant to play that earlier, but it is what it is. Cleat Chaser is really cool. If you need to check out that app, you can, if you're an athlete, you can put yourself on there and people will see it. If you want to go look at athletes, you can do that as well. If you're a coach, it's a great place to see athletes. It's a very cool app. You can get it in the Apple Store and I believe the Google Play Store as well. It's very, very cool, though. I have messed with it quite a bit, and I'm really enjoying it. Anyway, thank you for listening to Post Game Live. Really appreciate it. The next time we're gonna be live is from the North Carolina game. We will be in North Carolina. We'll be coming to you doing this whole thing, Post Game Live, again after that. Thank you to everybody who called. Thank you to everybody who listened, even if you didn't call. Thank you to Travis Dever. For supporting Knightline and doing all that he does for us. Thank you to our new sponsors that you've heard a couple times there, MyBookie and Cleat Chaser and Kyle Israel and Travis Dever, all that. So that's going to be it, I think, for me, though. I've got to get up and go to work tomorrow. I know, believe it or not. I work just like everybody else. This is the bad part about these Thursday night games. Anyway, longest winning streak in the nation continues. 56-17 over the UConn Huskies. 600 and... Oh, my computer did not work. 652 yards of offense was incredible. We're full into football season now, my friends. All right, take it easy. I'm Andrew Fagley. This has been Knightline Postgame Live. Thank you very much to everyone